My ministry is Brooke's Butterfly Touch Creative Storytelling, and I teach workshops to help other people tell their own stories.
Awesome. That's really cool. We're starting a kids program in Portland about helping kids tell stories. And we ended up in the butterfly room. I don't know if you heard of this in the butterfly room.
It's kismet.
It's crazy. Also, Brooke, would you like some water or anything?
It might help. She has a little bit of a cough.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of talking today.
Oh, it's like so dry in these hotel rooms too. There you go. Oh, you got it.
It's kind of heavy.
Didn't realize it was gonna slide.
Yeah, I might just go ahead and change the battery right now.
Good?
Okay.
He's my best friend, and I asked him to start working for me about 3 years ago. That's what she said.
Do you do a lot of reading?
Yeah, and I'm a writer.
Love to read some of your stuff. Okay. So what does it mean to include someone with an IDD to empower them to support them? To you? Like, what do you think that means?
To me, that means what recognizing what that ability is, and then you use that and then that person uses that ability to help the community.
And is there anything about your own personal story that you'd like to really share with anybody today? Is there anything that stands out as something that would help someone understand you better?
With me, most people hear my voice and assume that I have cognitive issues. And that's not the case. I'm fully aware of everything. And even with my physical limitations, I still do theater, Pilates, dancing, and I teach workshops. I just wish people would not assume based on my voice.
Awesome. And do you ever need a break or anything? I just want to make sure. Okay. You guys seem to have a really amazing relationship. The simple fact, like the bond that you guys have, and I'm sure it's happened over time. But what is your relationship with, John mean to you?
Jonathan is my best friend. I call him my other half. More water? He's probably the one person who really knows me the best. And to me, that means everything.
Oh. How?
Do you mind if I ask sorry, I'm behind this. Brooke, you said a minute ago, like one of the things that you emphasized was that you're aware of everything, but people don't know that. What do people say or do because they think you're not aware of what's going on around you? And how does that make you feel?
People have a tendency to speak really loudly or not speak to me at all. They'll speak to Jonathan or whoever I'm with. Because they assume because of my voice that I can't understand what's going on. And it's really annoying. I'm a college graduate. I'm a published author. And I'm a public speaker. it's really annoying that people assume that because Jonathan's here that I'm not capable. Or because I'm sitting in the chair. That I'm not capable of doing anything, so.
You have to have an unbelievable amount of passion to have completed the things that you've done with the challenges that you might have faced. And I think it's really, really amazing. You're a published author. When did you complete that book?
I completed my first book in 2006.
Your first book?
It's The Little Butterfly Girl. It's a fairy tale loosely based on my childhood. And then I finished my workbook that helps other people tell their own stories a couple years ago. And then I was invited to speak to at a women's event. And I ended up writing my Adapt, a 6-week devotional that helps take your gifts and limitations to find God's purpose in your life. And Adapt came out completely by accident. I was trying to decide on what I was going to say at the event. And it ended up turning into a book. And my actual job, I'm the communications specialist at Strong Families. Which is Dr. John Trent's ministry. John Trent is a marriage and family counselor. And his best-selling book is The Blessing. And in the latest, the 5th edition, he asked me to write chapter 18. And so, there's The Blessing.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you have a question, George?
Well, I'm kind of just curious about, so you've written 4 books, or at least contributed to 4 books. What's next? Do you have your sight set on another book, or are you thinking, like, what's your next big milestone as you build your ministry?
There are 2 things. I'm working on my nonprofit status for my ministry. The sequels. And then everybody I know has been bugging me to finish the sequels to the little Butterfly Girl. And my memoir. And then I'm also trying to get my workshop online. So more people can take it.
Well, no wonder people are bugging you about your sequels. You've got so many other projects going on. It's like, how are you going to do all of that?
Yeah, you make me feel incredibly lazy.
And she's
Yeah.
always bored.
What's that?
She's always bored.
How are you bored? I'm overwhelmed by like the two things I have going on in my life.
I want to take a nap.
Yeah, seriously. Like I'm like, oh man, I went to a conference for 3 days. I'm done for a week.
Thank you. Yes.
So the other question, Brooke, that I was thinking about is like, you know, a minute ago we were talking about like people not speaking to you but speaking to Jonathan, or not assuming that you are capable of, you know, speaking for yourself, making your own decisions. So on the one hand, that's frustrating, but on the other hand, it seems like the whole notion of like you teaching people to tell stories is because you feel like it's important for folks of all kinds of different abilities and backgrounds to be visible. Why is it so important for people to tell those stories? Like why is that what you spend your time doing, training people how to do?
Because the one thing I've learned is that everyone if you want to if you want to make any difference in the world, it starts by making connections. And And the only way to connect with other people is by sharing your own story.
That's a really good question because it really does feel like communication seems to be a pain point in your life. And so it seems like you're sharing that and gifting others the ability to communicate. That's really awesome. Can I ask you why though?
I always say that when God gives you a gift, He means for you to use it to help others. My storytelling ability isn't just for me. I was put in this world to encourage others.
Make me cry. I can't believe how many people you're supporting. Oh.
I think I want to ask, like, and I don't know if this question is like, imagine a world where, because you may have lived this world before, but like, what would it be like if you didn't have Jonathan? Or if you didn't have someone like Jonathan who can support you to communicate, to support you in whatever your needs are? You know, what do you think your life would look like? Or if there have been times in your life where you didn't have that level of support, what did your life look like, and what difference has it made?
I can tell you that before I met Jonathan, I never imagined that I would be able to do anything like this. I knew I could write books and maybe a blog. But beyond that, I never imagined how I would travel and take part in the conferences that I've done. I thought I would have to do everything with my parents. And my parents are awesome, but they're getting older. And tired. And having friends like Jonathan has just opened so many doors. And also awesome people like my Pilates instructors. Who believe in me without fail. And people like John Trent. Who hand me unbelievable opportunities. Because they believe in my in my gift.
Jonathan, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?
Of course.
I'm curious, had you always worked to support folks like Brooke, or like how did you get into, was it just that y'all had been friends for a while, or?
I met Brooke 11 years ago, and I only really started hanging out with Brooke because her caregiver at the time was a good friend of mine. And the next thing I knew, it had been a month and a half, almost 2 months, and I had basically not talked to Brooke at all for those month and a half, 2 months. And she finally had enough, and she got my phone number from my mother and sent me a text, and I get this text from this random number that I'd never seen. And she says, "So what's the deal? Are you never going to talk to me?" And it had just been really intimidating to speak with Brooke one-on-one. But it was almost another month after that, before I started really catching on and hearing and understanding what she was saying.
So that moment when Brooke called you out, essentially, like that had to have been like a oh shit moment, right? Like how did that feel? What were you like? Oh, like what did it feel like at that time?
Just recognizing that it had been intimidating.
Yeah. Like did you feel bad about like the realization of like, oh, I haven't really engaged with her the way that I had been engaging with your friend at the time?
No, it was just up until that point, for me personally, it hadn't been clear that she was really interested in a more one-on-one personal friendship between the two of us.
I see. So at that time, like, were you working as like a caregiver, or
No.
Is Brooke the first person that you have been like paid to support?
No, Brooke and I had been hanging out for about a year and a half, and I had lost the job that I had had when I met her, and I was having trouble finding work, and she kind of had an epiphany and says, you know what, Jonathan, you should try and get a job as a caregiver because you actually care. And so I applied to a couple different agencies, and I took a week-long training course with one of the agencies, and it was about 2 weeks after I finished my training before I found my first client. And I worked for him for a solid 2 years, and he was an older gentleman with Alzheimer's. When he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, he was told that he would have probably about 3 years to live. And then I started working for him 15 years after that, after he had been diagnosed. And by the time I started working for him, he was only coherent maybe one day in a dozen. But yeah, I worked for him for about 2 years, and then he passed away, and I didn't feel comfortable taking on another client. But then it was about 3, almost 4 years, and Brooke and I had been hanging out for, basically 8 years at that point. And she says, you know what, you're hanging out at my house all the time anyway, why don't you just start working for me? And here we are almost 3 years later.
And the rest is, as they say, history.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that you guys support each other. It's really, really cool to see how far you guys have both come. It's really, really wonderful. And cool, good for you for just being speak Mac. Having people around.
Be like, I want to talk to you. Hello. I guess the question then is like, in some ways, you're probably the bridge between Brooke and certain opportunities that might not have been possible otherwise. Like Brooke was saying earlier, you know, she didn't envision being able to go to these conferences and being able to travel and things like that. So you've supported Brooke to do a lot of things that, you know, have really opened a world of opportunity for her. What do you wish people knew about Brooke, or about, you know, people who have disabilities, or people who, need support that might not be obvious when you're just out and about in the community. What would you tell those people if you could just instill that knowledge on them?
I would say the exact same thing that Brooke always tells people. Never, never, never assume that that they have a cognitive disability. Brooke will meet someone for the first time, and like she said, they get in her face and they speak really loudly, and they just assume that she's not all there, and that's just not the case.
Yeah. I have one other question for Brooke, but did you want to ask me another question of John? While we're
No, I kind of have a question for you, Brooke. But it was, what level of frustration made you reach out to Jonathan?
Brooke and her caregiver at the time, Kim, my really good friend at the time, the two of them, myself, my mom, my brother, the whole group of us would go out almost every weekend and just hang out at the mall. And Kim and I would always end up pairing off and talking about books and movies. And Brooke just got really frustrated that I wasn't paying any attention to her. And and she knew that we had a lot in common. And it just seemed really stupid. To be hanging out all the time and not really talking, the two of us. At the time, she had just broken up with her boyfriend and she was really lonely and she was really just needing a friend to fill that hole. And she was seeing me every week, so it just made sense for me to fill that hole.
Oh.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, well, I have one more, but
No. Go ahead.
Well, I've heard 3 stories today. Yours is the 3rd, and it seems like every story has empowered each and every person to be seen, and I feel like you have taken the pain point of always not being seen to be your strongest asset, like through your books, through reaching out, through connections. What emotional motivations you must have had? I guess I don't have a question. I'm just like, I'm praising you.
Well, so that's a good thing to do. But where you started is where I was going. So, we're talking about being seen and visibility and awareness and storytelling. But all of that is about what other people see, like how other people see you. I'm curious, like, when you look in the mirror, what do you see?
I see 2 people. I see the person that other people probably see. Which is the girl who needs a lot of help. But I also see the girl that I know that I am inside. The girl that the girl who can do anything with a little bit of faith.
That was the best answer. Yes.
That was really good. I'm going to have you say your name and why you're here today. I goofed up and I forgot to push the record button on your first answer.
I'm Brooke Brown, and I'm here to share my ministry, Brooke's Butterfly Touch Creative Storytelling Services.
And who are you?
And I'm Jonathan Dobson, Brooke's best friend and interpreter.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
And just so you know, I don't usually cough this much. So if you want to try and edit around the coughing, that would be awesome.
We got you on a day when it was probably we were like talk.